I'd like to just introduce the two speakers we have. We're very lucky to have two really amazing speakers. This panel came about from the realization that there's an increasing number of people who turn to online resources for mental health support, for education, for recovery. That's not unusual since we turn to our computers and our phones for almost everything else in our lives nowadays. But the issue we encounter is that when we use apps or other software or other behavioral health products that are available online, it's very difficult to make responsible and informed decisions because there's so much out there and we're not able to evaluate what works and what doesn't. So that's why we have two speakers here who are going to be addressing this issue of accessing resources. The second speaker we have is Dr. Moehringer. He's the scientific content manager of cyberguide.org. That's a website that provides resources for consumers and researchers who are trying to navigate this emerging market of electronic and internet-based mental health treatments. So CyberGuide offers descriptions, reviews, objective ratings of these products to help guide consumers in using these products. He's also a licensed staff psychologist at Clearview Communities, which is a residential vocational rehabilitation program.
I'm also very grateful to be here. I grew up in this town, actually. My grandparents live here. And I grew up exit eat. So for those of you who are lifelong residents of New Jersey, that's how we talk about where we live. So, thank you. My slides are up. And there we are. Okay. So, I'm here to talk to you today about a website that I've been working on for about 5 years. I put a lot of work into this. I can't call it mine, but I spent a lot of time with it. And CyberGuide is about two main issues that I think we're all talking about today, and I think we've all been talking about for a very long time, which is the issues of access to care, whatever that looks like, and informed choices for care. So how are we going to get what we need, and how are we going to know that what we're getting is what we need? And I think that's what CyberGuide is about. So we're beginning to address some of the major problems in, excuse these wipes here, some of the major problems in mental health care in the United States. What we're seeing is that 55% of counties, as of at least the last time the data was collected, do not have a trained mental health professional at all serving anybody. So basically what that means is that 55% of the land area of the United States has no one to address the needs of any of the people who live there. Most states, even in counties where there are service providers, have a serious shortage of capacity for service delivery for individuals who need hospitalization or any kind of higher level of care outside of the home. So even if anyone can recognize that there's a crisis, that someone needs something more than what any one of us can provide, those services are not available. And then when people are transitioning between service providers, whether that's therapists, a psychiatrist, going into a hospital, out of the hospital, moving into their own apartment, all those sorts of things, coordination is either entirely lacking or not present at all. And I know that that's an issue that I think the field in general has struggled with for quite a long time. And I think many people, including Guillaume, are trying to make better, but we have a lot of work to do there. Even for people who have access to the care that they would like to have, the responses aren't so great. I think we know that. Recovery means a lot of different things to a lot of different people, but I think it's a relatively widespread experience that recovery is never what we hope it will be. It's always a little bit less than what we would like. And even when a person's in recovery, even when a person is in contact with providers, even when a person feels like those providers are helpful and what they're getting is helpful, during those moments of crisis, during those moments of stress, again, this problem of coordination rears its ugly head, and we get problems in hospital readmission rates, families get burnt out, the person gets burnt out, everyone gets tired of dealing with the illness, including the person who has the illness, and we see really poor outcomes from that. All right. So what CyberGuide, what I and my boss are trying to do, yes, are provide an answer to some of these issues. So We've found lately in the past 10 or 15 years that some therapies can be delivered electronically. What that means is over a phone, over the internet, over a tablet, over smart televisions eventually, and VR devices. I know the VA is doing a lot of work with that. So we're finding that therapies can be delivered outside of offices, in a person's home, in a group home, in a respite center, anywhere that has access to the internet, which in the US is most places at least. These can be apps directly for your phone or web-based programs you can access from any device that has access to the internet. Products that use the internet, that use cell phones, that use electronic devices can be rapidly deployed. So we're talking an industry term called scalability, which just means we can easily access a lot of people. We can provide access to a lot of people very easily. You write one computer program and then millions of people can use it. And that's a lot easier than needing to manufacture pills, to train therapists, to build new treatment centers, any of those kinds, to provide transportation back and forth from people to live to where people are providing services. So it doesn't suffer from a lot of those limitations. This also allows choice to be placed in the hands of the user, whether it's families or persons in recovery. So people can feel empowered. I have chosen what it is that I'm going to use, and I'm doing that because I believe it works. And I think where CyberGuide comes in is letting people know what's out there and answering the question of, I know that this thing works, I believe that this thing works because I have looked it up, I have read about it, someone has provided me with some easy to access information about it, and I feel comfortable using it. This also has the potential to be helpful for people who are trying to develop new products. We've, not just in mental health care, but in all areas of our lives, we've discussed, I think, all of the issues related to the collection of data, from phone calls, from web browsing, from all of these things, and that this is, what has happened here? Okay. And some people may feel uncomfortable about this, but what data acquisition allows is for new programs to be created or existing programs to be improved upon, and it's very easy to do this with electronic therapies. And we can find a backdoor way to reduce stigma rather than sometimes either waiting for our communities to catch up to us or dragging them kicking and screaming behind us to accept what it is that we're doing. People can access these things in their homes on their own time, in the bathroom at work or on a smoke break, whatever it is that's going on. And so there need not be this tattoo across someone's forehead that they're in recovery. And I think that does a lot to help with access to care. Having said that, too far. Having said that, there are problems with electronic therapies right now, not the least of which is that there are currently at least 3,000 apps and web programs that claim to address some form of mental health issue. Many of these are things like stress, and not only is that really difficult to understand what stress really is, but as Chaku talked to us earlier, stress is not always something to be eliminated. So even in that one area, it's very difficult to know which product to choose, where to get the products, whether you've even seen all of the products or found the one that might be best for you. And so making informed choices among those thousands of products today is basically impossible because most applications are not tested, either in the standard kind of research that we're used to or in open studies that try to get to more naturalistic results. No regulatory requirements exist at all. So that means that anyone can write and market an app. And I can tell you there are a number that we have on CyberGuide that we listed for a variety of reasons, but were literally created by someone in their garage somewhere. And it's just this one person, and they wrote it, and they put it on the App Store, and you can go get it. You can get it for free, or you can get it for $2 or something like that. That's not all bad, but it poses a problem to those of us who are trying to figure out if this thing that I'm looking at that looks attractive to me is something that I can or should use. There are no qualifications necessary for producing an app, so it's very difficult to know in advance what kind of quality you're getting. And so most of the products are probably ineffective And given the large number and the fact that no one is really looking at these, except for a very few people like me, some of these are probably harmful, either because the information included in them is not accurate, or it doesn't direct them to services that they might access otherwise if they had to go through more traditional treatments, all those kind of things. So for example, if you download an app because you're a person who feels suicidal from time to time, and the app includes like basic information about what suicidality might be, where it might come from, and how it might happen, and here are 3 coping skills that you might be able to use, etc., 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 but never tells you the phone number for the warm line or the hotline, that might be harmful. Because you're trying to use this app because you thought the app might be useful, when all you needed was a phone number and you could have called and spoken to someone, which may have been the thing that saved you either from completing suicide or attempting to have you go to the hospital and having that huge disruption to your life. So that's the kind of thing that we're talking about. So I have tried to make, and my boss has tried to make CyberGuide an answer to this, to these multiple issues that connect with each other. CyberGuide is a guide for, we have patients on this slide and I apologize for that, but for persons, families, doctors, researchers, developers, marketers, so adding to this list a little bit, but anyone and everyone who may be involved in some level at producing, distributing, or using a therapy. We modeled this after a Consumer Reports. 3 of the 4 people who started this have children or immediate family members with mental illness. Well, I should say, actually, if we're talking about immediate family members, 4 of 4 people who started it, myself included, have family members with severe mental illness. And the basic question that the founder had was, my child wants to use something on the internet and I have absolutely no idea, and they even can't figure out what it is that they want to use. So we thought a Consumer Reports style project that evaluates electronic therapies might be a solution to this. We thought one of the benefits is that Consumer Reports does their work independently. Whatever their funding sources are, you know that when you read a Consumer Report article, you're getting information that was not handed to them by someone trying to sell the product, and that's what we're trying to provide. And so we're trying to give information that anyone who's using our website can know is reliable. We're also interested in pushing insurance companies to use what we offer so that they can start to reimburse for the use or development of these products, so that for those products that do have a cost, and there are some that have quite a steep cost, those are products that are more marketed to group practices who might have dozens of their clients using a product, so they have a higher sticker price. But if insurance companies can reimburse for that, that of course will increase access to something that might be helpful. We also want to have a repository we make it a repository of information so that if some new person in their garage would like to write a new program, they can go on CyberGuide, see what it is that people want to use, see what it is that people have already produced. And if you're going to innovate, I think you need to know what it is that's out there so you can make something new. And so having this information in a centralized place, I think, is helpful for that. So our overarching goal is to assure widespread availability of apps, software, eventually wearable devices, all of these products that meet the highest standards of safety and efficacy. So just as when you see that the FDA has said that something is safe for use, and you know, that means that you can use it, that if CyberGuide says that it is safe to use or it is high quality, you know that that product is high quality. Some of the background of who we are. We're a project of the International Mental Health Research Organization, known as IMRO, that's based out of California. PG is short for CyberGuide. Was established in 2013 around a conference room table in a small practice in Bethesda, Maryland. I was there for that first meeting. We pride ourselves on being an unbiased, nonprofit consumer guide for rating these software, these apps and software. We don't take any money from developers. We have not, and we've done that very specifically because we want to make it clear that we are not marketing products. We are listing them and providing information for people who are interested to make their own, hopefully informed choices. Currently, we include products for schizophrenia, mood disorders, and PTSD and other anxiety disorders. Our categories are a little clunky, we just tried to do the best that we could. We plan to expand to as many areas as we possibly can. Unfortunately, I'm only one person, and I can only write so many reviews at any one time. We're in the process of trying to expand, which were some of the slides I deleted from this presentation. But that's what we have right now. We have the number 79 products being reviewed. That's now, I think, up to 83. So in May, I wrote 4 more. The range of scores on our proprietary rating system is 14 to 86. That just means that low numbers are not good, high numbers are good. The highest products right now score an 86%, so that's, I think, a 12 out of 14 on our rating scale, which means that we do not yet have products that are perfectly matched to what we consider to be the really important fundamental measures of safety, effectiveness, and value. So we're hoping people will make some of those, so now we're here. We have in-depth expert reviews, so what I mean by that is that I write basically the face sheet with all the basic information, and then someone comes in after me who has more time to go through and use the app from start to finish to write a very detailed multi-page report that if you're interested in something, you can look at that. It's far more than 38% now, so we're getting there, but that's something, again, when you get really interested in a product, maybe you've decided you've got narrowed it down to 2 or 3, and you really need to know what is it like to use this product. That's what the expert reviews are for. And then one of our big projects right now is to try as much as possible to get people who have used products to come on CyberGuide and let us, and then subsequently everyone else who is interested in using a product, know what it was like. Did you like it? It's kind of a basic star rating, just like Amazon, because everybody wants to be like Amazon. So that's what we're really trying to push right now. I think more than anything, whatever I might say about a program and whatever another PhD might say about a program that's gone through and used it, I think the real value of CyberGuide is going to be realized when users are coming on and leaving their feedback about how something was. It was buggy, it was ugly, it was really easy to use, I really liked it. I don't think it helped me with the problem that I wanted it to help me with, but it helped me realize I had a whole other problem that I didn't know that I had, and it helped me with that, anything. So we have a few long-term goals that we're working on right now. I didn't know if I was going to get to the slide or not, so I just put it at the end. Basically what we're trying to do is grow. So that means we need a little bit more money, which is not why I'm here, but just because that's where we are. Looking to hire full-time people. We're looking to really expand the rate at which we're able to rate products, and really kind of grow ourselves and expand to be a larger presence in the marketplace, because I think somebody really needs to be doing that right now. Google has started an initiative to try to disseminate information, but it's not going to be a kind of unbiased consumer report style. It's going to be more about collating the way that results come up when you do a Google search. The FDA has said they're not interested. They can't keep up with the pace, and they don't want to keep up with the pace of creativity and destruction in the app marketplace. So they're not going to do it. They're interested in wearable devices, but not in programs. They were very clear about that. So we are it. And we are happy to do it, and we're hopeful that we will be successful in growing so that we can continue to do it. I'm here because I think it's a really great thing. I'm going to take pride in it, and wanted to let everybody know about that, especially since I grew up here, and I probably know some of you. So with that, I know that's going to leave us with plenty of time for questions, which I'm really happy for. It will also make sure that we get to lunch on time. So thank you very much.
Hi, this is Grace. I'm Grace. The question is regarding CyberGuide. I noticed at the bottom of the review indicate there's some consumers who took who view the applications. My question is, do any of your patients participate in utilizing different apps, and what are their age range? Are they, based on your observation, are mostly younger patients who are more apt to adopt using the application versus someone in their 50s or 60s? Just a general thing about that.
So in order to kind of, can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Too loud now? Okay. In order to jumpstart the consumer rating process, because we're having a lot of trouble bringing enough people to the website to rate, we partnered with a team at Massachusetts General to just kind of recruit people. And then I think we did, there are 5 of our apps that are most highly rated, and we asked those people to use them, pick the one they wanted to use and leave a review. And that's basically the study, to try to just get some people on and get those consumer reviews. So our numbers are still a little bit too small for me to say definitely what the age range is, but I think what we're seeing is I think exactly what we would expect. The younger people who are more used to using electronics are the ones most using electronics. However, I know that there's a lot of work being done to make them accessible and usable to people who are not necessarily at this very moment always comfortable using them, and we are always interested in keeping the door open for those kind of products, because certainly a 28-year-old or a 17-year-old or an 8-year-old has very different needs than a 68-year-old, 78-year-old, and all of those needs need to be addressed. So that's really what we're working on.
Actually, to follow up, have you thought about partnering with RAISE program, since that's such a comprehensive, to me, in my mind, it's a more comprehensive treatment plan.
Mm-hmm.
So would that work with RAISE?
I was actually
Or
working.
FEP in New Jersey?
I was actually working at Zucker Hillside Hospital. It's the Long Island Jewish Medical Center. Their psychiatric hospital. They were one of the central RAISE centers. I think we'd love to, but they were on to their next project, so they didn't have any capacity to do that with us yet. And we're going to visit and revisit any partnership that we can get people involved, because I know, especially the large organizations like that have a lot of people who are coming to them, they're going to be a really great source of people who are really living this day to day.
My question to you both, please, is in terms of the business, to the extent that you can share, I'd be interested to know what is the revenue model that's going to drive your business. I'm wondering in Mr. Moehringer's case and in Mr. Elias's case, Mr. DuPont's case, how will this be paid for so that the service, as it rolls out, can be more readily available and accessible?
Jason is fine, by the way. My name is unmanageable even to me. So, CyberGuide at the moment, we have struggled repeatedly over the years with figuring out, do we want to be a pay-for-service, a subscription service, do we want to remain, we are entirely foundation supported right now, and all of those foundations are entirely nonprofit, philanthropic organizations. We want to remain like that, we want to seek like an NIMH grant, something. And we've determined for the moment that the most effective way for us at the moment is to continue seeking grants from philanthropic organizations. That lets us be as independent as we can to maintain that level of separation between what we're doing and what a developer is trying to do. So that's where we are.
Hi, I'm Bill. I have 2 questions. Before you asked if I thought that the caregiver, what was the exact question again?
How caregivers felt they could be part of the success of the recovery of the patient. That was my question.
I am my own caregiver. I have been diagnosed by doctors as schizophrenic. I feel it's an asset, not a defect. And so forth. So it gives me strength, it gives me creativity, it gives me what I have to live. And as that, it makes me alive, as being alive is. The question was, to the second question, is about just the programs themselves. The individual programs, are they biofeedback related? Are they interactive with other people? Or are they all sorts of across the spectrum, but broken down like that? No. Yes.
It is entirely across the spectrum. One thing we have shied away from is trying to rate programs that are connecting a user to a therapist, and so the intervention is a talk therapy kind of thing. because it's really difficult to know, what that's really going to look like moment to moment between the user and the provider. And we don't want to get involved in saying, this one is better than that one. How will we know? The rest of them that we do rate, we have a couple of biofeedback ones. We have a number of relaxation, either guided meditation or something like that. We have some from the VA that were diaphragmatic breathing. We have a recent one that I know the developer's been kind of traveling the country marketing. It's called Super Better for depression. That's a gamified program, which I think is one of the trends that people are trying to push in development. So yeah, we really try to capture a broad spectrum, and to really give you all the full answer to that question, go on the website.
First of all, as a caregiver and as a professional, I appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you.
The psychoeducation piece of my Helios is very powerful. I am an intensive family support services clinician, so I see you as a collaborator. I'm not threatened by you. Having said that, what I would like to caution everybody in the audience here is that when the president-elect of this country communicates via Twitter, we are in an age of oversimplification. And by what I mean is, there is a certain complexity about working with families, working with systems, which you have to be familiar with on the ground, having met people personally, having seen different agencies function in different ways. These nuances cannot be transferred to the work that is done electronically by people who are sitting somewhere far. For that, you need people who have met everybody and know the terrain and the pulse. Having said that, there is so much work that needs to be done. If we can figure a way out of collaborating, I think overall the population of mentally ill and families will greatly benefit. Thank you very much.
Can I make a quick comment about that, because I think that's a really important point that you made. And as a licensed clinician myself, I mean, there's a lot of reason for anyone in that position to feel like, okay, if we're going to ship everything off to a computer, then we're in trouble. And I would agree with that. So I think it's important for us to keep in mind that what the electronic therapies are doing is capturing more people. So almost all the time, the people who are using them are people who would not seek services with someone like me, like you, like you. So that's really what I think we're trying to do, is not take the place of anybody, but to make sure that people who are not already in that kind of an active stage of recovery to get there.